Hey everybody, happy Sunday. You know, for a lot of us it's a day of rest. And for me, it's church, it's coming home, and it's starting to think about what can I do to help people next week. So I want to reach out to you, all of my team members, and share a little bit about what I've seen over the years that I've been involved with Legal Shield. You know, I got hired to do a speech at their convention. I may have told that story. Some of you have heard it, some of you hadn't. I'd never even heard of Legal Shield before, but there I was in front of 600 people sharing a speech about how to be better at their business. Because of that time, I got involved as a member, I used the coverage, and I became an associate. Now, I share that because I started the same way all of you did. Okay? The one thing I was missing and the one thing that held me back at the very beginning was I became a member because I saw the benefits in the service. I became an associate because I thought that that was the next thing to do. I didn't, at that time, have a clear reason why. And because I didn't have that why, I floundered. I went to meetings and then I didn't go to meetings. I went to events and then I didn't go to events. I never really had that commitment. And over the years, I sponsored some people, helped them in their business, sold some memberships, and gradually moved up the line. But when I came to a decision that I needed to do something to keep my other company open, that became my why. And that was earlier this year. And literally, in the time I made that decision earlier this year to today, that little window of business is more business than I had done in the previous decade with Legal Shield. I share that for two reasons. First, I think you need to go back to the day you said yes to me. Each of you. Look in your hearts. Okay, there's no right answer. I'm not going to ask you for the answer. But why did you say yes? What was the reason? What were you looking to get out of Legal Shield? Because the one thing I can tell you is that if you put that reason in your heart, you'll start to see things happen, number one. The second thing that'll happen is your why will change. You know, I've grown to a point now in Legal Shield where success to me is more about helping people. Currently, as you may have known from emails I sent, I have the opportunity to present this to over 11,000 people who are employees of companies, cities, police departments, and schools that I now represent for Legal Shield. That's quite an opportunity. But where the success is going to come in is when I find out what each of those 11,000 people would have as a benefit to sign up as a member. Even though they're getting a discount through employee benefits, that's no reason to do that. But imagine, because you've all seen the compensation plan, if only 1 out of 10, or rather 9 out of 10 tell me no, and I'm left with 10%. That's 1,100 people that I have memberships for. That changes everything for the moment. And then you have a new bar, a new why, a new reason. One of the many benefits of having spoken literally around the world is you get to hang out with other people that have spoken around the world. I've written books. I've been on stages with as many as 5,000 people. I've spoken in Soviet countries. And there's an organization called the National Speakers Association that I was a member of for a very long time. And at one of our conventions, I brought my son. He was maybe 15 at the time. And we were just going to sit down to have breakfast. The as you know, at any of these conventions in the hotels where the restaurants are, there's often a crowd. And, you know, if you believe in God, you'll understand the next part of this story. One of the most famous speakers of his time was a gentleman named Zig Ziglar. And there's two things about Zig. One, his wisdom is insane. The second thing is, the only thing that's higher up than his wisdom is his humility. So there's Zig Ziglar waiting in line like everybody else. And we were at the head of the line. He was quite a ways back. And again, God pushed. And my son walked up and asked him, because I explained to him who Zig Ziglar really was, asked him if he'd like to join us for breakfast. Now, he could have said, oh, I'm waiting for someone. He probably had important people to meet. But he didn't. My son, myself, and Zig Ziglar, 3 people at a booth having breakfast. What a treat. And for a time, I felt kind of bad because I had little interaction with Zig. He was talking to my son. And the reason was he was about to open up the National Speakers Association Youth Conference my son was going to attend. As we conclude breakfast, because my son had no preconceived notion, no judgment of Zig Ziglar, who he was, what he'd become, what he went through, nothing to compare it to. Zig looked him in the eye and he said, well, I'm going to go get ready for the speech. Will you be there? And my son said, yes. He goes, good. I hope you're ready for me. And my son didn't even blink. And he said, well, I hope you're ready for me. And Zig laughed a laugh that you just don't forget. And one of the things that he spoke about in that event that my son told me about is the 3 C's. And that's what I want to share today. Because even when I was on stage, and not nearly as large a stage as Zig Ziglar, but even when I was on a stage, you know, you're in the suit, your hair is all cut and styled and all that stuff, and you're delivering this message, and, you know, the people that hired you are giving you high praise and endorsements to get the audience behind you. All too often, everybody sitting in that audience is comparing where they are to where I was at that very moment. And if you're not clear on your message, a lot of times you lose half the audience because they form this opinion that I could never be like that. I could never speak to a lot of people. I could never, whatever the case may be. The 3 C's are never criticize, condemn, or complain. And each one of those has merit, right? Don't criticize people. It has 0 impact on them, right? But it's something you carry with. Don't condemn them. They're doing something that you may not understand or you might not even agree with, but they're doing it because of something that's going on in their lives. And the last thing is, don't complain. You see, only we have the final say in what we're going to become. And today, I want to add a 4th C. And it might be one of the more important ones if we had to rank them. And that is compare. All too often we hold ourselves back because we're trying to compare us to them, whoever them is, right? I could never earn $1 million with Legal Shield. I could never get to win a trip. I could never blah, 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 because I'm not as good as that person. Well, let's clear a few things up. There are things that I had to go through in my life that I'm not particularly proud of, but I share because it helps other people understand. When I first was introduced to Legal Shield, now I had written books previously and spoken literally around the world, but after my divorce, that kind of died off. I literally shut everything down. I was in a bad state. And I just couldn't seem to get it going. And just like when somebody like me gains weight and I don't notice it, but every one of you who hasn't seen me in a while notices it, I didn't see that downward spiral that I was on. And it didn't hit home until my daughter, who was a lot younger than my son, years later, I had moved after the divorce to North Carolina. And she decided that that's where she wanted to go to college. And I had to deal with both of my children. I put my son through college. That you get in, I'll figure everything else out. Well, when you're in that spiral, you're not figuring things out. And I can tell you that when she moved down, there was nothing. I wasn't working. I wasn't paying attention to anyone in Legal Shield. I wasn't even using Legal Shield. In fact, it was hard every single month just to pay the premium to maintain my membership. And back then, my membership was less money than it is now. And I remember that her junior year at the University of North Carolina in Wilmington, we were so broke that if her student grants hadn't come in, I don't know how we would have eaten. I don't even know how we would have afforded rent. And that's when you hit rock bottom. And you would think I would learn the lesson from that. And I didn't. I went and did what most of the world does in that situation. And I went out and I found a job. And I worked at the job, and we were able to buy new furniture and pay the rent and have food, and I was paying her tuition, and that grant money she was using for important things like clothes, books, social life, and all that stuff. So it's not that I got out of the hole, I just was able to stand up in the hole. And again, through hard work and faith and developing, years later, I started our barbecue company. And we grew from a kitchen table to over 263 stores, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to leave a legacy for my kids. And then things beyond your control happen. As many of you know, this past April, I had to shut the doors of that company. And it was right at that time that I literally went back to the people that had tried to help me for literally 10 years in Legal Shield and said, I'm ready. And from April until now, like I said, what are we talking, 7 months? I've made more money in 7 months, achieved more things in 7 months, helped more people in 7 months than I did since the day I joined back in 2015. Now I share that because the people that mentored me are so optimistic and wanting to help people that they just kind of brush it off as, well, it was time. And I'm only here to tell you, don't take your time. Take the mentorship, take the guidance, make the steps, but always come back to, why did you say yes in the first place? Number one, why did you say yes? What is your reason? Okay, and let me know. My job, the way I see my job, is to help you get to whatever it is that you want. A few extra dollars a month, a trip, residual income, long-term security. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter. I've got people in my team, you're probably watching, that want to make an extra $300 a month. That's my job. Help you get there. I've got people that want to do better than I do. My job, get you there. Right? And that means more than just cheering you on. It's being available. I've been available. I've reached out. I want you to understand. I want you to do what makes sense for you. And I want you to understand what this business really is. It is the perfect business for people that have absolutely no time. But when you do have those 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you can be planting seeds. How do I know? I have people that I talked to 6 months ago, had zero interest. I don't sell this anymore. Just show it to them. If it makes sense, great. If not, I move on. I don't take it personally, and I don't worry about, oh, that was a waste of time. It's never a waste of time. Here's why. 6 months later, life happens, something changes with them, and I get the phone call or the email, hey, can we talk about that again? And they're signing up. All right. I'm now 10 consecutive months. Actually, I've already finished my November numbers, 11 consecutive months Performance Club qualified. Okay? And again, all I'm doing is just talking to people, listening to what they say. If there's something there, I take the next step. If not, I move on. Not everybody's going to say yes to this business. So there's no point in trying to explain it to everybody. You just simply show it, right? Why would people need the service? What's their situation? Oh, they're looking for extra income. They need the coverage. They have to get a will done. They have an issue that they haven't been able to resolve. All of those things, all different reasons. But you'll only get that information if you take the time to listen to them, right? And after you listen to whatever their story is, don't criticize them. Don't condemn them. And don't complain about the time you spent to get nowhere with them. And lastly, don't compare yourself to those who have gone before you. See, you see them where they are today. You see the award winners and the trip winners and the ring winners and the top earners today. All right? And I'll share this. You know, some of you have gotten to meet him, some of you haven't, but hopefully all of you will. One of my good friends through Legal Shield, I've known him almost since the day I signed up. It's a gentleman named John Wynn. And the day John Wynn went to his first Legal Shield event, they were locking his house for a foreclosure sale that day. On his way to the event, he was involved in an accident, had to get a mechanic to get the car running, didn't even care that he had smacked his head and may have had a concussion, and was about to be, at the end of the day, homeless. Today, John is truly one of the leaders in the company. He's a $100,000 ring earner, millionaire club member, super guru when it comes to small business and employee benefits. I mean, this guy was signing groups before I even knew what groups were. And he's got his family back, his daughters. He loves them more than anything because of this business. He has done nothing else but Legal Shield since rock bottom. I do nothing else besides Legal Shield since I made that decision. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm hoping you'll let me help you get to a point in life where you make a choice. And that, by that I mean that you're making as much money with Legal Shield as you are with whatever else you're doing, and you're sitting there going, which way can I go, right? And we have people making six figures who haven't left their job yet because they love their job. And how much easier is it to love your job when you no longer have financial worries? How little pressure can there be at work when you have enough money coming in to replace that income? And for that reason, a lot of people stay where they are. By the same token, we have attorneys, actual attorneys, selling their law practice because Legal Shield pays them so well. We have six-figure real estate earners who have walked away from real estate other than investing because Legal Shield has more than replaced what they were making as successful realtors. Teachers, police officers, you know the story. So, again, I want to remind you of the incentive that comes from me personally to you, because I believe anyone who achieves this incentive is going to see an amazing 2026. So here's the incentive. I want to pay for you to go to Orlando to the next regional, which again, it's $99, I think, to get in. But I'm going to pay for your hotel room, all right? And that's going to take care of most of your expenses. The only thing you have to do is get there, and if you can get to the Columbia, South Carolina area, I'm thinking about renting one of those luxury buses and just driving down and having a great time, not having to drive, just kind of chartering our own little bus. So go back and look at your emails. The details are there. And I hope you enjoyed this Sunday. And I hope that you let me get you to wherever it is that you want to go. So have a blessed day. Reach out whenever you need me. And know that our events, our webinars, our Zoom meetings, our live meetings are open to you and any of your guests. Thank you very much.